Epic battle, degrees versus skills. Welcome to the corporate Hunger Games, where degrees and street smarts battle it out for the ultimate prize, a coveted job offer. In one corner, we have the mighty college degree. In the other, the scrappy underdog of real-world experience. Who will emerge victorious? Grab your popcorn, folks, because this showdown is about to get interesting. Picture this. Resumes with degrees strut into the arena, decked out in shiny armor of academic achievements. Meanwhile, non-degree resumes sneak in through the back door, armed with nothing but grit and a Swiss Army knife of skills. It's David versus Goliath, folks, but in the job market. Now, here's where it gets juicy. Some businesses are stuck in their ivory towers, demanding degrees like they're collecting Pokémon cards. But others? They're stepping out of their comfort zones, ready to see the potential in every candidate. And here's a little teaser for you. What if those scrappy underdogs have some tricks up their sleeves that could turn this whole game on its head? Stay tuned, because this career battle royale is about to get wild. The fortress of fixed mindset. Picture this. You're a business owner, sitting in your cozy corner office. You've got a stack of resumes taller than your morning latte, and you're feeling pretty smug about your hiring process. Why? Because you've built a fortress of fixed mindset, complete with towering walls of degree requirements. It's foolproof, right? Wrong. Welcome to the wonderful world of degree inflation, where suddenly you need a PhD to flip burgers and a master's degree to answer phones. It's like academic monopoly, but instead of buying properties, you're collecting diplomas. Got a bachelor's? Sorry, not good enough. Master's? Maybe. Doctorate? Now we're talking! But here's the kicker. While you're busy playing degree collector, you're actually shrinking your talent pool faster than a wool sweater in a hot dryer. It's like you're the ruler of a medieval castle. And every time you raise that degree requirement drawbridge, you're keeping out a whole army of potentially amazing candidates. Remember that Swiss Army knife of skills we mentioned earlier? Well, it turns out a lot of those knives are getting left outside the castle walls. And let me tell you, some of those tools could really come in handy when your business hits a snag. Now, I know what you're thinking, but degrees are important. They show dedication, intelligence, ability to learn. And you're not wrong. But here's a mind-bending stat for you. Over 70% of Black, Latinx, and rural workers have been disqualified from jobs due to arbitrary degree requirements, despite potentially having the necessary skills. That's like throwing away 7 out of 10 resumes without even reading them. Talk about missed connections. But wait, it gets even juicier. A study from Harvard Business School found that more than 60% of employers rejected qualified candidates solely because they didn't have a college diploma. That's right. These businesses are turning away people who could actually do the job just because they don't have a fancy piece of paper. It's like refusing to eat a delicious meal because it didn't come on a gold-plated dish. And here's where it gets really wild. In 2015, 67% of production supervisor job postings required a 4-year degree. Sounds reasonable, right? Wrong! Only 16% of current production supervisors actually have one. Talk about a disconnect. It's like requiring all chefs to have a degree in astrophysics. Sure, it might come in handy if they ever need to cook in zero gravity, but for flipping burgers on Earth, not so much. This degree inflation trend started way back in the 1980s and really took off during the Great Recession. Suddenly, employers were demanding degrees for positions that traditionally didn't need them. It's like everyone collectively decided that without a degree, you couldn't possibly know how to do, well, anything. The rise of the underdogs. Remember those scrappy underdogs we mentioned? Well, it's time to shine a spotlight on these hidden gems of the job market. While degree holders were busy cramming for exams, these folks were out there in the real world, collecting skills like they're going out of style. Think of them as the self-taught superheroes of the workforce. They didn't need a fancy school to give them powers. They built their own Iron Man suits with nothing but determination and a YouTube tutorial. These are the people who can fix your computer, build a website, and probably rewire your entire office, all before lunch. But it's not just about technical skills. These non-degree holders bring a smorgasbord of experiences to the table. They've worked odd jobs, started side hustles, and navigated the school of hard knocks. It's like they've been through a real-life version of Survivor Corporate Edition and came out stronger for it. And guess what? Some big-name companies are starting to catch on. IBM, that tech giant you might have heard of, has gone full rebel mode. They've thrown degree requirements out the window for nearly half their US jobs. They're calling these new-collar jobs, which sounds way cooler than white-collar or blue-collar. It's like they've invented a whole new fashion trend in the job market. AT&T's jumping on the bandwagon too. They're part of this group called 110, which sounds like a superhero team, but is actually way cooler. Their mission? to place 1 million Black Americans without college degrees into family-sustaining jobs over the next decade. Talk about a plot twist in our hiring saga. But here's where it gets really juicy. These companies aren't just doing this out of the goodness of their hearts. Nope, they're doing it because they're desperate. There's a labor shortage that's got employers sweating bullets. Millions of jobs are sitting empty, gathering dust like that exercise bike you swore you'd use. So these companies are finally wising up and realizing that maybe, just maybe, there's a treasure trove of talent they've been ignoring. They're starting to see that skills and experience can trump a fancy piece of paper any day of the week. And boy, are these underdogs making the most of their moment in the spotlight. When non-degree workers land roles that traditionally required degrees, they're not just getting their foot in the door, they're kicking it wide open. We're talking about an average salary increase of 25%. That's not just a win, it's a home run, a touchdown, and a slam dunk all rolled into one. It's like watching the climax of every underdog sports movie ever made. The non-degree holders are the scrappy team that nobody believed in, and they're out there on the field, showing everyone what they're made of. And the crowd goes wild! The growth mindset revolution. All right, folks, it's time to talk about the ultimate plot twist in our hiring saga, the growth mindset revolution. Picture this. Businesses finally realizing that their degree-obsessed hiring practices are about as outdated as floppy disks and dial-up internet. Shocking, I know. So what's this growth mindset all about? It's like businesses finally took off their academic blinders and discovered a whole new world of talent. Imagine stepping out of a black and white movie into Technicolor. That's what's happening in the job market right now. These forward-thinking companies are realizing that maybe, just maybe, there's more to a person than what's written on a fancy piece of paper. It's like they've suddenly discovered that humans can actually learn and grow. Who knew, right? But here's where it gets really wild. These companies aren't just talking the talk. They're walking the walk with some pretty creative hiring strategies. Job auditions? Yep, that's a thing now. It's like The Voice. But instead of singing, you're showing off your spreadsheet skills or your ability to code while standing on your head. And practical tests? They're not just for driving licenses anymore. Companies are using them to find their next superstar employee. It's like businesses are finally learning new battle strategies to find the best warriors, regardless of whether they spent 4 years battling term papers and final exams. Now, I know what you're thinking, but what about all those job postings demanding degrees? Surely they're not going anywhere. Well, buckle up, Buttercup, because I've got some news that'll knock your socks off. Remember when 51% of job postings required a degree? Well, that number's dropped to 44%. That's right, the tides are turning faster than you can say student loan debt. It's like watching the academic Titanic slowly sinking into the sea of irrelevance. Too dramatic? Maybe, but you get the point. This shift isn't just good news for job seekers. It's a win-win for businesses too. They're finally tapping into a goldmine of talent they've been ignoring for years. It's like they've been fishing in a kiddie pool and suddenly realize there's an entire ocean out there. And let's not forget about the diversity angle. By focusing on skills instead of degrees, companies are opening doors for people who might not have had the opportunity or resources to go to college. It's like they're finally realizing that talent doesn't just come in one flavor. But here's the real kicker. This growth mindset revolution isn't just changing hiring practices. It's changing entire company cultures. Businesses are starting to value continuous learning and adaptability over static qualifications. It's like they finally realized that in this fast-paced world, the ability to learn is more valuable than what you already know. The new era of hiring heroes. So, what's the secret sauce for a dream team that can tackle any business challenge? It's not just degrees or street smarts, it's both. Imagine a workforce where book smarts and real-world wisdom join forces. It's like combining peanut butter and jelly, but for hiring. Delicious and effective. Ready to be the hero your workplace needs? Start championing skill-based hiring. Look beyond the fancy paper and see the person behind it. Who knows? That high school dropout might just be your next coding genius or marketing wizard. Think about it. In the epic showdown of college versus street smarts, who really wins? Plot twist. It's not about who wins, but who's brave enough to value both. Are you ready to be that game changer?